This is Laura DeFranco, holistic physical therapist and owner of Brave Healer Productions. I'm excited to bring you my new holistic healing series where you're going to learn from the experts what it means to live fiercely alive, mind, body, and soul. I invite you now to take a breath, relax, and feel the vibe of the words my guest has to share with you today. Welcome, everybody, to a very special episode. I am interviewing the authors of a new book, The Wellness Universe Guide to Complete Self-Care, 25 Tools for Happiness. I cannot wait to introduce you to 4 of the amazing authors of this book. Hi, ladies. Thanks for being here.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So, you guys, I have Ricki McKenna. She's a passionate, professional, certified nutritionist, easy for me to say, coach and foodie who empowers women and men over 50 to reinvent and rejoice in their lives, enhance their health, and reach their goals. For over 24 years, using food as the foundation, Ricki guides you to get what you want. I also have Yvette Taylor. She's a best-selling author and creator of EAM, the Energy Alignment Method. She's an internationally recognized complementary therapy. That is that. I won't say that again. She is on a mission to change as many lives as possible, sharing EAM globally with over 50,000 people, 100 plus mentors trained to use the modality. She's going to tell us about it today, you guys. Maggie Sarfo is a passionate author, speaker, and mentor for inspirational leaders and individuals, bringing over 18 years experience to her audiences. The majority of her clients become hugely successful in life and business or transition happily. She is CEO of Maris Consult Ltd. Am I pronouncing that correctly? Maggie,
Limited. Yep.
Maris, okay, enjoys yoga and family beach holidays. Oh my gosh, I need one of those. And lastly, I have energy medicine expert Divine J9 here. She's a best-selling author and an international speaker. She leads soulful ceremonies and teaches workshops worldwide on healing, meditation, and personal growth. She lovingly reminds us we are a product of what we feed ourselves daily, both mentally and physically, and provides simple solutions to bring us into alignment. Wow, you guys, if you don't already hear the power in the guests I have for you today, I don't know what's going to help you. All right. So, Ricki, I'm going to start with you today, and we're going to talk a little bit about happiness. Tell me, what has the pursuit of happiness meant to you personally? And tell us a little bit about this chapter you wrote.
Thank you. Thank you, Laura. Well, happiness, I know, comes from within. And I've always been a happy person, basically. And what I've found in a pursuit, I'd kind of call it just a living. It just, life is, it's meant to be good. And my happiness comes from, and this is what I wrote about in my chapter, I love to cook. And I've discovered after many, many years in the kitchen and fooling around, and if I go to someone's home, you know, I'm invited for dinner or whatever, I'm always in the kitchen helping. I meditate when I create. And I discovered, this is crazy, which is part of my chapter, the middle 3 letters of the word create are eat.
Of course they are.
It kind of hit me in the middle of what I was writing. And so the chapter truly is about how I find happiness by losing myself in the food and, of course, creating. And I do a show on Zoom, as a matter of fact, a cooking show, cooking class. But what I found is in meditating, in just allowing myself to be in the kitchen, enjoy the food and create, see what smells good and what tastes good. What I've found is that translating that to other people, they laugh, they get a kick out of it. And it's a happy thing. And that's really the reason for it. And if you ever notice, most of the time at a party, where does everybody land? If you're in someone's home, we're in the kitchen. Yeah.
No doubt.
And so my kitchen is wide open. I love it as a place of gathering, as warmth, sometimes literally. And it's just the happiness part of it just is. And it's nothing that I've really strived for. I'm just your basic, happy, crazy, nutty person that likes to help other people feel the same and bring their happiness from within, because we all have it within us.
I found that the kitchen, everything you said about that to be true over my whole lifetime from, childhood on. And then especially this year where I had, my college kid home and he wasn't supposed to be home with us. And my other, my daughter home, of course. And we gravitated there even more than usual, if you
Yes.
get my drift. And it was
Yes.
like wanting the connection, and I thought, whoa, here they are. And they're here to help me make dinner. I love it.
No.
They were though.
Good.
They stepped up. I'm telling you, they're older. Okay. 18 and 20. So they can totally help me make dinner. Yeah. But anything else you want to say about that connection?
Yes. Food connects us.
Yeah.
No matter who you are, where you are in the world, you've got to eat. So something has to be prepared. And for me, it's not just the food that we put in our mouths. It's the food that we feed ourselves. Is it pretty? Are we getting the good words in? Are we reading the right thing? That's all food. And all of that feeds, for me, and I believe it feeds us all. That's the happy part. Because if we take in the things that we want, that make us feel good, the words, the views, the beautiful pictures, whatever it is we decorate with, pretty pots and pans. And when I serve something, it's got to look good because it's eye appeal. We eat first with our eyes. So if that says something about food, that's how I feel. That's what the chapter's about. Enjoying everything around you because it's all food for thought and for being.
Thank you, Ricki. Yvette, I'm going to go to you next and with that same question. Tell me a little bit about the pursuit of happiness, what it's meant to you personally, and about your amazing chapter.
Nowhere to begin. That feels like when I look back, and as you'll see in the chapter in the book, it literally feels like that's been the thread throughout my whole life, has been the pursuit of happiness. And my journey began for me, first and foremost, as I think probably most of us here, when you first start wanting to figure out life must feel better than this. It doesn't necessarily have to be like this. It's always an internal thing that we're searching for to begin with. And my journey started with wanting to let go of many, many things that had happened to me when I was younger, many that I didn't even get to squeeze into the pages of the book. How can you limit us in that? How can we describe life in that? But there were so many other things that had happened. And throughout my teenage years, I know my mum, God bless her, I'm amazed she's not grey, deserves a medal for putting up with me when I was younger. And it wasn't until I was about 17, 18, I remember making a decision for myself, like life has to be better than this. And that was what originally turned me to energy work and like figuring out there had to be something more than the life I was living, which at the time was drink, drugs, and drum and bass, basically. And it still took me a long time. But the pursuit of happiness, I do believe, is something that every single one of us is searching for. Everything we do in life is to bring joy. We give it different words. We might call it love. We might call it peace. We might call it flow. We might call it freedom. But it's all happiness. Everybody just wants to be happy. And everything we're doing is to get us to that place. And yet it's not something that we're taught. And for me, my own journey was figuring out that life didn't have to be bad, no matter what had happened to me. And the journey that I'd been on, I could make a decision today that my life could be different and I can shape what's coming rather than letting myself be a victim of what had been. And little did I know back then, at the young age of 18, that it was leading me towards what we're doing now, what I'm doing now. But that journey for myself soon evolved into teaching what I learned and sharing it with others. And that for me is actually my happy place. I love to teach. Just, give me a room full of people that I can talk to them about finding flow and happiness. That is my happiness. So it's worked out quite well, to be honest. The pursuit of happiness in teaching other people exactly that is just, that's where my life has got to. And so I think for everyone, particularly as you were just touching on this last year, so many people have struggled. It was hard enough before for so many people, yet this last year it feels for many as if the rug has been pulled out from underneath us. Like, I know so many people have stopped still in their life. They are not making decisions for themselves. They're almost holding their breath or gone into a shell, waiting for ourselves to be let out again. And I think the biggest thing I could share right now for anyone listening is use this time right now to really reflect on yourself, like really reflect on what is it that you want? What is it that's going to make you happy? What is going to bring you joy in your life? Because as we've all seen, so many of the things that we thought were important before that we now can't go out and do, we've still managed to survive. And actually, like you were just talking about with having family nearby and being able to cook, and it's the simple things in life that actually bring the most joy. And it isn't the things that we think that we're losing necessarily. So wherever you're at, whatever you're feeling, for myself on my own journey, and I've really learned this in a whole new way this year as well, it is those things that you can do every single day. There is nothing outside of you that you need in order to be happy. You've got everything you need right now in order to do that. And that is part of them when you read the chapter and learn the 5 steps of EAM. That is what I literally teach as well. So it's exactly like Ricki said, it's a way of life. It is, there is nothing else to it. That is what life is all about, pursuing your happiness and letting nothing get in the way of you being in that place, whether you call it flow or alignment or love or freedom, whatever. Let nothing get in the way of you being there. And anything that is in the way, that's the thing that you need to take out and reconnect to that place again. You can find it anywhere.
Thank you, Yvette. You mentioned limiting you guys, and I know you all each have full books, multiple books in you. To tell you to do it in a couple few thousand words is just terrible of me, isn't it? And what I want to say there is thank you so much for stepping up and saying yes to that challenge and for doing it so beautifully. Your authentic stories are powerful. And then you went a step further and taught a tool there so that people could have a practical experience, right? The stories heal in and of themselves. And then we are all master teachers. You are all so amazing in your ability to teach people every day, but it takes a special skill to do it in writing and have people have that takeaway from your words. So thank you, for doing that so well. Maggie, you're up next. Talk to us a little bit about your chapter and what this pursuit of happiness has meant to you personally.
Thank you, Laura. So for me, as I sat here listening to, us talk about the pursuit of happiness, a bit like Ricki, my happiness has not been as much of a pursuit as it has been that of an internal awareness. So for me, at every given stage of my life, I have always looked at whether I was happy, looking at it from different reference points. But I think happiness, because it's a thing that differs from one person to the other, then it's really important that we also look at happiness as definitely, just like Yvette was saying, definitely something that you define for yourself, because you are the only one who would know what happiness means for you.
Sure.
Yesterday, funny enough, I did stumble upon a YouTube documentary film talking about a ranking of happiness across all the countries, and apparently some of the Scandinavian countries, specifically Denmark and Finland, seem to be classified as the happy countries. And one of the things that they brought up, which in a way was very interesting as well as exciting for me, was how they looked at it from a balance perspective. And for me, this idea of balance has always been really, really important to me, because for me, happiness has been a case of being balanced enough to say the various aspects of my life are coming together in a way that makes me happy. And this includes people around me, this includes my financial situation, this includes how my internal guidance is telling me with regards to where I am. And in a way, I also then am able to absorb feedback in terms of what's happening in my external environment. So with the book, what I set out to do was to talk a bit about happiness from that perspective of balance, but also take us on a journey in terms of a very pivotal part of my journey, where I was in a state where I felt like, even though I was happy in certain aspects of my life, there were aspects of my life that I wasn't necessarily happy at all. And in pursuit of this happiness, I was always going internally to try and find solutions. And for me, going into an awareness state, going into a meditative state, connecting deeply with who I am to find these solutions has always been a key for me. So I do tell the story of how one morning, as I was coming out of meditation, all I could hear was the sound Akasha ringing in my ears, and that leads me to discover a tool called the Akashic Records, and it leads me to discover, in a way of being balanced. And from this perspective, then increasingly, I'm also looking at balance from the perspective of being balanced emotionally, mentally, physically, and spiritually. So bringing all four aspects of ourselves into the self, into the being. So I share some of that with you in this book, but then I also then move on to talk about the Create Balance healing methodology or program, where I work with people to enable them to understand what it takes for you to simply own your ability to heal yourself, sit down, and then connect with yourself and see where you are on each of these four aspects of yourself. And then again, tap into what it takes for you to be truly balanced and to hit your, what I call the zero neutralized point of being, because that is where our happiness point is.
Thank you, Maggie. You touched on something I've been thinking about that other authors have talked about too, is that the path to the feeling is different for every unique individual. And so you kind of have to know what you want. As it Melissa Jervek yesterday talked a little bit about making those goals. And I know one of my own problems over time is that I started life out listening to what everyone else told me should make me happy. And I wasn't really doing that inner work that you're talking about. So it's really good for people to understand that that journey is unique, right? So Divine Jane 9, tell us a little bit about your chapter and what has this journey meant to you personally?
I'd say in terms of the chapter that I wrote for this book in this series, it's called Fire Ceremony, and it's using the element of fire for rapid transformation. And so I kind of talk about it in the book that when I was younger, my mom called me her sunshine baby, right? I was always happy, very, very content to just be on my own and play and just create and have fun and make little magical worlds, just get lost in the moment. And I think as we go through this journey in this lifetime, a lot of us, especially in today's modern world where we're bombarded by images of what you need to achieve to be happy, or what society kind of shoves down our throat, literally, if we're not too mindful about what we're consuming. We're getting all these images of what you need to be happy, so to speak. And I think it creates all of these expectations, whether we're conscious or unconscious about it. It creates all of these expectations. And if we're not careful, those expectations can really bog us down and essentially suffocate the happiness out of us. And I think it's like a couple of people have already mentioned, it's about having that internal journey, right? Where you're being mindful of your process. You're waking up in the morning and making a conscious choice of, okay, how do I want to create my day today? What's my intention for the day? My intention is to be in gratitude, and whatever comes my way, I'm going to be grateful for it, look for the lesson in things. But getting back to those kind of expectations that society kind of sets us up for, right? That we maybe willingly or unwillingly kind of accept, like I was saying, there's a way that we can acknowledge those expectations and just take a moment and say, wait a minute, I thought when I was earning six figures, I'd be happy. I thought I'd feel happier, or I thought I'd feel happier after I bought my first house, or, fill in the blank, right? And I think there's a process that I detail in the book called with the fire ceremony, where we can essentially give all these expectations to the fire and create a rapid transformation process. And then we can also bring in happiness, right? So we can look at, and I think Yvette was mentioning we can call it different words, you can call it different things. So maybe it's happiness or joy or finding your zen, or whatever invokes that feeling of joy and happiness in your being, right? And that's really just a vibration. We think of everything as energy, everything energetic carries a vibrational frequency. So if you think of happiness, that's a certain vibration, a certain hertz vibration. And so if you want to get closer to that happiness vibration, maybe you can't go from sad to happy because that's a pretty drastic jump, right? But you can go incrementally. And there's a great book, Power versus Force, by David Hawkins. That's a great tool. There's a guide with different vibrational frequencies, and you can kind of go up the chart to get closer and closer to the happiness. For example, you can do a gratitude list, and maybe that gets you a little bit out of your sadness or your funk, because I know a lot of people this past year have been a little down in a funk.
Yeah.
Right. So some people, it's been a very productive year because we've taken the time that we've gotten extra time, so to speak, and we've just been more productive with it. We've been able to clear out the cobwebs. It's shown a light for a lot of us. But again, getting back to that, getting closer to that happiness, what does that mean for you, right? I also love to cook in the kitchen. It's all about creating, and it just brings such a joy because I put so much love into it. I'm playing in the kitchen and then making it look pretty, because like Ricki was saying, you eat with your eyes first. And I mean, probably my dad was a chef, so probably get a little influence from him on that.
Yeah.
I just love to cook. But my husband's very lucky. But that is just bringing that joy and that passion and that almost that curiosity for life into everything that you do. And eventually you're going to just be pulled to what your path is, right? And again, I talk about it a little bit in the book about my first career. I was living in Los Angeles. I was in the entertainment industry, and I built an award-winning production company. And that was, for me, it wasn't about building this company that was successful. It was actually, the core of it was making people happy, right? It was bringing that, how can, people watch things and they watch things to feel better, right? And it was about creating that sense of how can I, and when I dialed it down and looked at it as I was being pulled towards something greater, I realized it was about helping people, about serving people, right? And I think especially when we're feeling really, really down, in the saddest of saddest moments that we may have in our life, if we just kind of press the pause button and take a deep breath in and just think, okay, what can I do for somebody else right now? Just taking the focus and the shift off of yourself and just helping somebody else, I guarantee you will automatically feel better, even if it's just incremental. But it takes that shift off of yourself and it changes that perspective, and it's amazing.
So, throughout all of your answers, we have, that time for inner reflection, the gratitude, and then the serving others, J9. So I'm actually going to stay with you for this next question that I want all of you to talk about today. And that is, how important is awareness when it comes to happiness? So it's foundational. And I think that we all know that it's foundational, but there are so many different ways to practice. And you all have such unique stories about how you even kind of broke into the practice of awareness and what that even meant for you. So J9, let me stick with you for that question. How important is awareness when it comes to this whole journey of happiness, and how do you practice?
Well, I think it's probably the most important thing, right? Is being mindful in each and every moment, because in each and every moment we have a choice. We have a conscious choice to make. Do I want to continue in this moping or sad energy, or do I want to just choose to move forward? I want to choose to lift myself up and upward towards the light, right? I think one of the most important things for me is meditation. I do a daily meditation practice, 20 minutes in the morning, 20 minutes, some point in the later afternoon. And that not only helps to balance your energy field, it balances all of your chakras when you do it on a consistent basis, but it's also just it's like resetting your whole body, because as it's balancing everything, you're getting kind of back to your natural state of just being. And when we can just be happy in the moment, I think it's part of the pursuit of happiness, or I think one of the things that gets us off course the most is that we're always putting the happiness in front of us in the future. Like, I'll be happy when, I'll be happy this, that. It's always a future related happiness. But I think the true happiness is being happy in the moment, happy with what is, right?
Maybe now.
Right. Maybe it's, I'm happy in the moment that I just got a $500 check in the mail, or I'm happy in the moment that I just bumped into somebody I haven't seen in so long. Or, you know what, I'm happy that person just cut me off because they probably just helped me avoid another accident further down the road. Now you're, a few minutes behind, right? It's like kind of being grateful in the moment for what things as they happen. And again, those incremental shifts in energy will then just morph into the happiness.
So raise your hand if you have your own unique way of meditating. Y'all meditate. You all have a meditation practice, right? So I'm saying that like the M word because it like scares people. Maggie, how do you practice? Talk to us about awareness.
So awareness is everything that we are, because that enables us to distinguish between what we like and what we don't like. That enables us to distinguish between whether we're happy or perhaps we're not. So it's about us being where we are. And I totally agree with what everyone has said, especially what J9 is saying, with Divine J9 is saying with regards to the being. And over time, so for me, meditation has been something that I think it has evolved for me as I also evolved, in my own personal growth journey. What I noticed, especially in the last year with everything that's been going on, was to just let everything go. And so my meditation practice has been a case of just being. And what I have found really useful more recently is just listening to the Om sound, or just listening to the R sound. And for me, Om is my gratitude sound. So I do that at the end of every evening to bring the day to a close and to be grateful for everything that happened. And then in the morning, my R sound, that tends to be my creation sound. And I spent 20 minutes just listening to it. Or also saying it. What I find is when you try to say it, you find yourself shifting into a very different conscious state when you pronounce the sound as well. So for now, that has been my most impactful way of meditating. And I think it allows me to just let go of everything that's happening, especially externally, and to bring everything internal and then create my world, for the day and for the night as well.
Yeah, it's a vibration shifter, right? And we're all sharing. I mean, every single tool that you guys taught in the book, they're all awareness tools in one form or another. And if you can help somebody, teach somebody to shift their vibration in the moment. I think it was Yvette that said, a lot of the times you can't jump from something like grief all the way to happiness. It's just not a practical way to go about it. But if you can even just come to a breath and relax in neutral space, that's a step. That is still a vibration shifter, right? And I think it's really, really nice when we can offer different tools for that. Yvette, what is your way to practice?
I love these conversations. It's so fun. And I'm going to practice that Om and R sound as well, by the way, Maggie. I was like, that's a good one to try. So I'm going to fess up now. I'm a guilty meditator. I would love to say that I have an amazing practice in the morning and I have an amazing practice in the afternoon, but I have 2 5-year-olds, so that's just a joke. So my practice, my awareness is actually EAM. So steps 1 and 2 of the whole process of EAM are specifically designed to bring awareness. Steps 1, 2, and 3 actually of the process are designed to bring awareness to us and unlock those things that are previously unseen. So most people are aware of, you might be, for example, thinking you're in grief in any particular moment, or you're sad, or you're frustrated, or you're upset. But actually what we're consciously aware of is like a tiny percentage of what's really going on. And what EAM actually helps you to do is to bring awareness, if you could, I don't know if you could see my fingers on camera, actually bring awareness to the other 98% of what's really going on. And the way that we talk about it is actually by accessing the information that's held in your energy field. And that's like the whole concept of EAM is it opens up your energy field, which is actually your subconscious. So people often think about your subconscious being, you know, it's up here, it's locked between your ears, it's inside your brain, and that's why we can't access it. That's not true. Your subconscious is actually your energy field, and it's in you, it's around you, it surrounds you, it creates everything that's happening in your day. You react to everything that's happening in your day because of what's happening in your energy field. And so for me, the awareness part is actually steps 1 to 3. When I am having an out of alignment moment, which, believe it or not, I definitely still have, and I'm sure if we all put our hands up, we still have those. So we all have those moments when you're like,
Oh, yes.
hey, I'm a spiritual teacher, I should be better than this. Why am I screaming at people and telling them to go? But the beauty of it is we all have our own tool, and we all have our own practice for getting us back into that aware state and actually exploring, what is it that's brought this up for me? And why am I feeling angry? And why am I peed off with that person? And why have I just turned into a 7-year-old child and throwing my toys at the pram because they said something or looked at me a particular way? And that for me is the biggest awareness opener, because when you can actually see what that 98% is, instead of what you're consciously aware of with the 2%, it's never about that thing someone said. It's always about something that's already happened or something you've got going on in your energy.
Yeah.
And that's then where the rest of the transformation can come from, because then you can follow the rest of the steps and release what it actually is rather than what you think it is. And so for me, the awareness bit, as you said at the beginning, is foundational. It is absolutely the core of everything that we all teach here. It's the core of the happiness book. Unless you can discover what's stopping you from being happy, you will continue to recreate the things that are stopping you from being happy because they're still in your energy. So when you can discover it, find a way to let it go, then you're free, I suppose, to connect to all of the amazing practices that we're all sharing. And there are 1,000 ways to do it. But the awareness piece is first. You have to access that piece of the puzzle.
That's what's so beautiful about this book, you guys. There are probably a million ways to do it. And we've got 25 powerful ones in one book for you, which I love, love, love. Ricki, talk to us about your practice and the importance of awareness.
I'm not sure it's a practice, it just is. And it's funny because the word awareness reminds me of, I had a company years ago in the 80s called Awareness, but it was spelled AWEARNESS, and it had to do with image. Yeah, I was doing image consulting, helping people dress for success. That was the big thing in the 80s. And people used to say, what? I said, you have to be aware of the image, the picture that you're showing to other people. And so just awareness to me, I guess it's part of who I am. And it's funny, Maggie, you said earlier, you were speaking to balance. And I said that if I ever have a tattoo, it'll be the yin yang symbol for balance. And it'll be on my forehead so I can access it. You know, when I'm in the kitchen and I hunt for things. It's like, oh, that smells good. I think I'll put it in. And I'm in a zone, so to speak. And I don't necessarily own, but when I walk, when I'm outside either walking or riding my bike, I get into that zone as well. And I'm aware of what's around me because I have to be for safety, but I'm also aware of the sky, the trees, the feelings that I have in my body. I'm a very physical person. And the awareness part in the kitchen, to get back to where my chapter was all about, is what are the foods that feed us, that help get our serotonin working and the dopamine and the happy chemicals that we have within our bodies and in the foods that we eat. And that's so important. And the other part is laughter. Laughter to me, being aware of funny things. I mean, your 5-year-olds must be a riot, Yvette, because little ones, I don't care if they're boys or girls, but especially boys, I found, they're happy, they're funny, and just observing that. And I'm aware of our cat, who has a personality like a dog. We decided she's a cog instead of a cat, or however you want to put it. And it's awareness of so much going on around me, and waking up that sense of, I think it's the childlike sense of, what's the pictures that you see in the clouds, and just being aware of who I am, connected to everything else. And I've always been so serious. And at the age of 76, where I am now, I said, screw that. Life is meant to be fun. And I decided that if I can make people laugh, if I can feed them something good that makes them say, oh, gosh, that's great, and enjoy it and feel something. What I've noticed in this pandemic is that people have stopped feeling anything except sadness or deprivation, but to be grateful for everything that we have, and to be grateful for you have walls around you, you have a ceiling above you, you can walk outside, there's still air. Actually, it's cleaner than it used to be because people aren't driving as much. And just to be aware of your surroundings and to smell things, good, bad, or indifferent. It depends on what you want to call them. But that's my thing of awareness, and I'm very grateful for it. And for me, it's almost, I just realized that it's almost an ongoing, not so much a meditation, but I think the word is, I'm not sure, it's combining with everything, kind of being a part of everything, not being separate. It's like we are all one. And that's the feeling that I've become much more aware of, that how much we, and all of us as authors especially, sharing what we feel and our expertise in whatever area it is, but that we are all one. And connecting with my grandkids, I have a tween granddaughter, and I said, let's write a book about tweens and what's really important to tweens. And she likes the idea. She's 12. And so she thought I meant to do it herself. And I said, no, let's do it together. So we have your perspective and grandma's perspective. And so I'm waiting for more response on that. But that's where I'm aware that there's so much out there. And we feed ourselves with that as well as the good food. I guess
Awesome.
That's my answer.
Thank you, Ricki. All right, ladies, we've got a few minutes left, and I want to go around on this last question because I think it's really important part of this episode. And that is, what would you offer to somebody who's still really struggling and they're listening to you? They get it. They understand the practices. They're ready and they're still struggling. We've had quite a year, haven't we? I mean, wherever you were before in terms of what was going on in your life, it just got multiplied, without our consent with COVID and everything that's been going on and all the extra that was added. So, Maggie, I'm going to start this round with you. What would you offer as an easy entry point onto this journey? I know that maybe all of you today have mentioned gratitude. And I know for me that that's one of the quickest, easiest entry points toward happiness. If I can just stop and take a breath and be grateful for that breath even, then that will be an easy entry point. So what would you offer?
Me, because I'm termed as a conscious channel, then when we've tried all the resources around us and we still feel that there's more to us, that we can't really unlock the next phase, then I would offer, the gift of an Akashic Records consultation. What that really enables people to do is to connect more deeply to who they are, the original blueprint. And then from there, they get to understand what or who they are, devoid of anything else around them or the conditioning that they have picked up along their journey. And then it clears them up to really stand, as I said, in their own soul's blueprint, and then take the next action or to take a decision that allows them to be more and more of who they truly are, regardless of the external environment. So that would be what I would offer.
I love that. I have had a little bit of experience with the Akashic Records this past year more. I mean, you think you've dabbled with every modality there is, but there's always another good one to learn, right? Akashic Records has been one of them. And so maybe just in another sentence or two, you're talking about a blueprint for your soul. You're talking about your deepest soul's purpose here, right?
Absolutely. But then you do come into an Akashic Records consultation with any baffling questions that you're trying to find answers to. And what happens is I hold space, and then we open your personal Akashic Records, because we do have the universal Akashic Records as well. So once we open your personal Akashic Records, we proceed to receive answers for those questions that you have prepared for that session. For some people, it's about clarity. And so it enables them to be clear and then move forward in confidence.
I like that because I know that everyone is listening. Most all of us have a big question, and it seems to be getting in the way of our happiness. And so it ties right in, right, to get that clarity. Thank you so much, Maggie. Where can everyone find you, learn more about this?
You can find me at maggie.sarfo, so maggiesarfo.com, at maggiesarfo.com/personal growth.
And don't worry, you guys, I got you hooked up in the show notes below. So we don't have to spell it, authors. Okay. It's going to be there for them. Divine J9, I'm moving to you next. What would you offer somebody who's struggling right now?
I would say first to just take a deep breath in and know that you have all the answers that you are seeking already within. And it's really about just making that conscious choice in every moment of just, how can I incrementally make the day a little bit better? How can I, get from here to here to here to here and eventually blossom into your highest potential? Because when you do the work and you blossom into your highest potential, it's like throwing a stone into the water, into like a smooth lake, right? Or a tranquil lake. Throwing the stone and you see the ripples go all the way to the other shore, right? So every little bit that you can do, it has an effect on everybody around you, because we're all connected. We're all interconnected, like Ricki was saying. We are all part of the fabric of the universe, right? And I'd say the one small thing that you could do is go out into nature and just listen to the birds. Look at the beautiful green or the colors around you. Listen to the sounds and the sights. See the sights and listen to the sounds. And just really just breathe it in. And what do you smell? Do you smell the fresh cut lawn? Do you smell the pine trees? Just reconnecting to nature, which is really the core of everything. Mother Earth, like we come from Mother Earth, we're going to go back to Mother Earth, right? It's like getting back to that core essence that we are so disconnected from. And that's actually the thing I wrote about in the first book. The 25 tools for stress relief was about earthing, about getting back in touch with nature. Right. And just, I think that would be the first gentle nudge I would encourage people to do, just to get out into nature and to feel the sun on your face. We've been cooped up for so long, really just get out there and feel that sunshine on your face. Or if it's the rain or the snow, feel the snow.
Yes, right? I love that.
And be grateful for it, because, the snow and the rain, that it actually creates a whole cycle that feeds the crops that we eat, and that feeds our belly. And it's beautiful cycles. We need the rain and the snow just as much as we need the sunshine, right? So
I love it, J9. Tell everyone where people can find out more about you, come explore your world a little further.
Yes, come visit divinej9.com and you can download your free ceremony guide.
Super. I've got you hooked up, viewers. Don't worry. Scroll on down. Ricki, talk to us about just something you'd offer people as an easy entry point onto this journey today if they're struggling.
My first thought was reach out. Don't stay isolated. And that's part of what we've seen in this last year. People have become so isolated for safety as well as just because they have in this whole situation. And there's the telephone, there's the computer, there's a whatever, and get outside. I agree. There are ancient principles, and reaching out to touch other people, whether it's an elbow or it's verbally, get out and share your feelings. And then the other thing is, while you're in, the choices that you make to feed yourself, literally, we're back to food because I'm the foodie. There are foods that'll make you happy, and there are foods that will literally give you a little bit of a high and then crash. What you want to do is make the right choices there. And that's where I'm offering my ebook, Eat Right and Eat Well. And just the connections, really connections. It's like blending the hurts. And when you talk about the hurts and the feeling isolated, everybody else feels the same way. And it's interesting to find out that other people feel the same way. And maybe that'll make you feel better. So I think that seriously reaching out for others, whether it's not necessarily to me, to others. And you can see a smile in people's eyes, even with a mask on. And that's another thing that I've noticed when in the grocery store, because that's my biggest outing lately. And you can see, this part, but you can still see people's eyes smiling. And that's important. It really is. That's the connections, and keep the connections going. Choose your connections carefully and keep them going.
I love that so much. The smile behind the mask is definitely seeable through the eyes, isn't it? Yes.
Yes.
Where can everyone find out more about you, Ricki?
CoachMcHealthy.com, CoachMcHealthy.com.
All right, you guys, I'm going to have you hooked up in those notes. So scroll on down. Yvette, you are our last up. What would you offer someone who is struggling a little bit with this still?
Agree wholeheartedly with everyone. I've been nodding away.
We get whiplash around here with the head nods.
There are so many simple things you can do. And I think, touching back on what I was talking about earlier, I think so many people have lost their way and are holding their breath or waiting in some sense for someone to give them permission to go back out and to continue living their life. You can do that right now, and we've shared so many ways that you can do that in the simple practices. Don't let this situation stop you from creating your dreams or deciding your future. At some point, this is going to end and it will transition into something new. And the gift that this has brought for all of us is actually an opportunity for many people to stop and to reflect on what they want and who they are and what's important in life and where they're going. And so use this time now to still create what is that for you, that pursuit of happiness. What is that thing that you're building, you're creating? How do you want your life to be different? What are you going to do? And you can start doing it now. You don't need to wait for anything outside of you to change in order to do that. And most people have let their happiness go because they've attached it to something they're waiting for. And there is nothing you need to wait for. Everything is still moving forward. It's only what we've got going on in here that makes us think it isn't. So just continue making decisions, choose your freedom, choose your happiness. You can do that today. There is no permission needed from anyone anywhere else other than giving it to yourself.
I love it, Yvette. Thank you. Where can everyone find out more about you?
So come and find us over at energyalignmentmethod.com. I won't spell that out because it's a long one, but we've got a free 7-day program touching on what Divine J9 was saying earlier, moving you through the journey from fear, sadness, grief, overwhelm, all the way through vibrationally up to happiness, freedom, and love. So you're welcome to come and join us on that 8-day journey, and you can follow that on the website.
Beautiful. Thank you. And listeners, listen, with awareness, you get the choice. With awareness, you can respond instead of constantly react to the people and things going on around you. And the new book that is coming out February 11th, 2021, 25 Tools for Happiness, is a this beautiful toolkit of these very, very powerful awareness tools from the authors you see here today, plus a whole bunch more. I hope you guys will join us on the 11th. And if you're listening to this podcast before then, good for you, because you can join us on the Circles of Inspiration page. Miss Anna Pereira is the lead author in this book, the founder of the Wellness Universe. TheWellnessUniverse.com is where you can go to learn more about all of our authors as well on their profile links. But on the Circles of Inspiration page on Facebook, we're going to have a little launch live stream party with giveaways and all kinds of fun things. So join us for that. And if you're listening after the 11th, well, that means the book is available and that'll be down there too. So you can purchase your book and get to know all of these amazing authors. Ladies, you're badass. Seriously. Like, I'm so honored and proud to be here with you. You are amazing and wise and beautiful, and you have so many gifts that you're giving the world. Thank you so much for what you do and for being here to share it with us today.
Thank you, Laura.
Thank you,
Thanks
Laura.
for coordinating everything.
Thank you
And
very
be a
much,
badass
Laura.
host.
Oh, you're welcome. My pleasure, you guys. Lastly, today, I love to end the show with a big, juicy question, and here it is. What if there's something you haven't learned yet about happiness that could change everything? It's time to be brave. See you later. Bye, guys. Love what you heard today. Don't forget to drop down and hit that subscribe button, you guys, and then join me over at bravehealer.com for just a little bit more healing badassery. Have a great one.